Hello, everyone. I just want to give a quick disclaimer at the top of this episode that my dogs lost their minds multiple times. You can hear them a little bit in the background, and there is one edit that's a little bit of a jumpy edit, and I apologize, but that is what's going on. Again, so sorry. I am filming Thanksgiving week, so people are going in and out everywhere, and so I just want to apologize again because of who I am as a person. And so I will go ahead and hand it over to Past Bailey. Hello, movie mavens. Welcome back to the B Movies channel. My name is Bailey, and I put the B in movies. I hope all of you had, at least our American viewers, had a great Thanksgiving slash just remember that what we did to Indigenous people is not great, slash what we continue to do to Indigenous people is not great. And that kind of brings me to, I felt like this video was the right video to do this in, and also it's the first video that we've had go out since I've seen Killers of the Flower Moon, and I want to talk about something really quick. I want to go on a soapbox right up top. I can already hear the groaning, but just hear me out. So, I saw Killers of the Flower Moon a few days ago. I was supposed to see it back in October when it came out, but that's when I got sick and that whole nonsense. But I saw it. It's definitely going to be in my top 10 favorite movies of the year. I think it is one of the best movies to come out this year. I loved it. But I want to talk about one thing really quick because I've heard a couple things and some rumbling about people who walked out of this movie or have issues with the violence portrayed in this movie. And I am obviously white, so I have just and continue to try to educate myself on all of the atrocities that we have committed against minorities over, the entire time that this country has been a country. And I just want to recommend slash borderline insist that you educate yourself if you have an issue with the violence shown in this movie. It's only a sliver of the atrocities that, again, have been committed against Indigenous people slash continue to be committed against Indigenous people. And I just think it's really, I'm just going to say ignorant to claim that the violence in this movie is senseless. And yes, the violence against minorities is absolutely senseless. 100%. But it needed to be shown in this movie to make a point. And again, this film only touches on one specific instance. It references the Tulsa Massacre within the film as well, but again, minorities have been and continue to be treated horribly in this country. And if you truly think that this film is just using gratuitous violence to sell a movie, again, highly recommend you educate yourself on what all has been done to minorities, including Indigenous people within this country. And that's all I'm going to say. Because I got a little feisty the other day with something that someone said. So, again, just educate yourself. Again, I am white. I try to continue educating myself. And I mean, there are times, obviously, that I am going to not be fully educated on things. So again, just seek out sources, continue to educate yourself, and if you truly don't know, which I don't know how you could, if you truly are unaware of how minorities have been and continue to be treated, start educating yourself immediately. And I'm off my soapbox now, but I just wanted to say that because it's been bothering me. And I loved Killers of the Flower Moon. I think it's a wonderful movie. That's my opinion. So, now that I'm off my soapbox, and that should be the only soapbox of this video, but I needed to say it. Let's go ahead and kick off our blog roundup. This week, on Monday, we talked about transportation horror. I know that it's a little bit of poor timing, but I also, in my head, it was a little funny to talk about this as everyone was getting ready to travel for the holidays. On Tuesday, we did a Steve Martin spotlight. I love Steve Martin. Again, a lot of his movies I was raised on, and there are still, like, Father of the Bride is still one of my comfort movies to this day. On Wednesday, we talked about the Bad Ben series, which is a low-budget horror series that I think it's borderline charming because it's so low budget and it's so, but you can tell how much love is put into it. Yesterday we talked about what I'm thankful for. As many of you know, I always do like a little, it's almost like an editorial letter. We've talked about this. I've been writing since I could hold a gel pen. I have done journalistic writing. I've done writing like I do for the B Movies blog for forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And so I've always really liked editorial letters and seasonal letters. And so every holiday or special occasion like my birthday, you can expect one. The B Movies anniversaries for the blog and the channel. And so, I just wanted to thank all of you. We have a lot to be thankful for this year. Elliot and I both do. We've created this channel. We've been building this brand from the ground up. January is our year anniversary for the blog, which I am just blown away by because y'all continue to support us and we continue to get so many wonderful comments and likes and follows, and I just really appreciate all of you. So thank you so much, Movie Mavens, and you can read the rest of my letter over on the B Movies blog. And then finally, today, we have the next entry in our Lights Camera album series that launched last week with Taylor Swift's Folklore. And today, it's Olivia Rodrigo's Sour, and that's going to be one of our deep dives today. I can't express enough how excited I am for this series because I wanted to do it forever, and now that we're actually doing these, it's so much fun. And yes, it takes a lot of work, but it's something that I'm passionate about, which is this whole blog and channel in general, right? Like it's a lot of work for Elliot and I. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, but I'm so passionate about it and I enjoy doing this so much and giving you all of this content to watch and read. So just thank you for all of the support, and we will do a deep dive on Sour. So to recap, this week over on the B Movies blog, transportation horror, Steve Martin spotlight, Bad Ben series spotlight, what I'm thankful for in the next Lights Camera album with Olivia Rodrigo's Sour. So with the blog roundup out of the way, let's go ahead and do Bite Size Sunday. So for those who are new here, Bite Size Sunday, they are Instagram exclusive reviews. They are smaller reviews for pieces of content that I want to talk about, but I don't necessarily have enough to say for a full piece. And they live only on our Instagram, which is just at B Movies channel, same as our YouTube. And every Friday, we tease what the upcoming Bite Size Sunday is going to be. We don't tease that anywhere else but here. So the teaser for this week's Bite Size Sunday is, it's alive and it stole my Instagram handle. So I've actually kind of teased this before in last week's video, I believe, but I'm excited to talk about something. And I will say it's not out yet, but I just really want to talk about a piece of content that will be out soon. So that is Bite Size Sunday. And just a reminder, coming off the blog roundup, before we start diving into, we have a couple things to talk about this video, and I'm very excited, including the introduction of a new segment. And I'm very excited. The blog roundups, we do them here on YouTube. We also do them on the B Movies Instagram. So we do a blog roundup in our Instagram stories, so you can see it in both spots in case you missed any of the pieces for the week. We also post daily on the B Movies channel, so we post Monday through Friday with the pieces, and then on Sunday we post Bite Size Sunday. So give us a follow over there because we're constantly giving you content and giving you as much content as we can. So we have a few things to talk about in this video, and I'm very excited. Like I said, we're going to talk about Olivia Rodrigo's Sour because it's our Lights Camera album. But I also want to talk about Alex Bale released the What's Next video that he talked about at the end of Don't Feed the Muse 3, and I want to talk about that. We're going to talk about Lights Camera albums, and then we're going to introduce a new segment here on the B Movies channel called Special Features. And the Special Features segment, it's going to be about a topic, a piece of content, whatever I want to do, because again, the only person to answer to is Elliot, and Elliot knows 90% of the time what I'm doing, and the other 10% she is fine with it. So The special feature segment, it's just a piece of, it's something I want to talk about, or like a piece of content that we haven't talked about yet. We haven't put in the editorial content, the editorial calendar yet, or we may not write about it, / I may be brainstorming how to write about it and present it. But it's just something I want to talk about, and it's just a little special feature because the only place that you can hear me talk about it is here. So for today's special feature, we're going to talk about shows that have like heightened reality and escapism and all of those things because they're interwoven. I was talking to my friend Sam the other day, and she and I were just talking about comfort shows and escapism, and how shows like Gilmore Girls and Psych and Desperate Housewives, to even the absurdity that is Riverdale, they all have this core of relatability. Riverdale is on like the fantasy and the mystical side of escapism, right? But shows like Gilmore Girls or House or Psych, where it's this almost heightened reality, where it still has a degree of relatability, but it is enough outside of the realm of reality where you can still escape in it and use it as a coping mechanism. So we're going to dive a little bit into that at the end of the video. But to kick us off, let's talk about Alex Bale's What's Next video. And again, if you're not subscribed to Alex Bale, I will link this video in the description box. Subscribe to Alex, turn on all notifications, like his content. He's a brilliant creator. Brilliant creator. One of the, in my opinion, one of the best horror YouTube creators out there right now. So, okay. Call me a conspiracy Carl, but I think Alex has something else up his sleeve. It could be that I have absolutely seen one too many analog horror series or horror ARGs, but I feel like there's something else coming. I feel like maybe this arc of Don't Feed the Muse is coming, or there's going to be more stuff with Mother, like I said in the last video. I don't know. I feel like there's something else brewing. It may be wishful thinking, but I think there's something else coming. And I also think we're going to find out something about his feature film around the holidays, because if you didn't catch it, the Christmas Time Is Here by the Vince Guaraldi Trio is playing in the background while he talked about it. And like I've mentioned, Alex Bale reminds me a lot of Bo Burnham, except in the horror space, because almost everything Alex does is orchestrated. We will talk about, I have watched his short film. We're going to talk about that in next week's video. And I think it's great. But either way, kudos, Alex. I'll link our video for Don't Feed the Muse 3 below, and the actual video for Don't Feed the Muse 3 and his What's Next video. And we'll cover any updates if / when there are any. But I don't know. Let me know what y'all think, because when I watched that video, I just felt like I'm interested to see how the compilation, he's going to make a compilation video that has all of his SpongeBob Theory videos, including some that were alluded to or touched on, but were never released. And I'm interested to see that compilation video, and if it is just simply a compilation video. And again, call me a conspiracy Carl, but I think something else is brewing here, and I may be totally wrong. And always please know that I have zero knowledge. I don't know these creators or anything. Sorry, my dogs were going nuts over probably a leaf blowing in the wind. But like I was saying, I don't know these creators, so please take everything I say with a grain of salt. It's just me theorizing. This is how my brain works. We've all learned my brain works in mysterious ways. So I'm just interested to see if maybe there is going to be a spin-off of the series, or, you know, maybe it's going to be more of an anthology. We shall see. So with the latest in the Alex Bale Don't Feed the Muse What's Next video, Fun Time Bonanza wrapped up, let's hop into our deep dive today, which is the Lights Camera albums for Olivia Rodrigo's Sour. So if you didn't read our first edition of Lights Camera albums, what I do is I take one album, look at every track list, and this is just the basic track list unless like the hidden track is actually on the album that's readily available, and I pair a movie with each song. So to start off, we have Brutal as Do Revenge. And I know that this is a little bit of a gimme because Brutal is on the Do Revenge soundtrack, but I always associate, ever since Do Revenge has come out, I associate Brutal by Olivia Rodrigo and Happier Than Ever by Billie Eilish with Do Revenge. Like, they are synonymous in my mind. And so if I wasn't going to pair it with Do Revenge, I was going to pair it with one of the countless 90s or early 2000s movies that Do Revenge references. So this way, we're just making that direct connection. Next up, we have Traitor as Hope Floats. And if you grew up in a house like I did, movies like Hope Floats, Stepmom, Where the Heart Is, you watched them all the time as a kid, Practical Magic. And so I think Traitor and Hope Floats go really well together because for those who aren't familiar with Hope Floats, who didn't grow up in like a small town southern home like I did, Hope Floats is a story. Sandra Bullock plays a character who finds out her husband is not only cheating on her, but is cheating on her with her best friend. And if that's not bad enough, she finds out on live television on like a Ricky Lake style show. And so she has to move back to her hometown with her mother and her young daughter. And, you know, it's a lot. It's about her finding herself and re-grounding herself. And I think that Traitor and Hope Floats obviously go well together because Birdie is fully portrayed and her entire life is uprooted. So Driver's License, I paired with Forgetting Sarah Marshall because I think it would be hysterical to have Jason Segel listening to this and crying and even singing to it. I just thought it was, in my head, the visual was so funny to have this like as one of the hotel room scenes or like while he's driving around. I think it's funny, and you really can't tell me that that wouldn't be a song he would turn to, that his character in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Peter, would be listening to this like crazy. For One Step Forward, Three Steps Back, I paired it with Grease because Sandy and Danny can never seem to get on the same page. And, you know, like, obviously in the movie, Sandy changes every literal thing about herself, and then suddenly they can be on the same page, which don't get me started about that, but they spend the entire movie going one step forward and three steps back. So I just thought that it paired nicely together. Deja Vu is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. This, I feel like, is another given because for those who aren't familiar, Jim Carrey plays Joel, Kate Winslet plays Clementine, and it's in the future where you can have your memories wiped. And so basically they meet for the first time, but it turns out it's actually the second because their memories of each other were erased after a tumultuous breakup. And so I just think that feeling of deja vu that they have pairs really well with the song. Next, we have Good For You as High Fidelity. It has big John Cusack yelling at Charlie energy. You know, Rob, who is John Cusack's character, is angsty. And I just think that Good For You pairs really well. I think that Rob would probably hate this song, but I think that makes it even better. Next up, we have Enough For You as Legally Blonde. And this one honestly breaks my heart a little bit because the scene in Legally Blonde, one of them that really gets me, is when they're in the restaurant, and of course, you know, it's funny, but then she looks at Warner and she says, "But I'm seriously in love with you. Isn't that enough?" And of course, we all know the answer is no, because Warner's a piece of absolute dookie, but, you know, and Elle is clearly better for it. But this, I think, is before she builds herself back up and, you know, gets to Harvard and see what she can accomplish and what her true worth is. And I just, again, think it goes well together. So Happier as The Wedding Singer. So I love The Wedding Singer. I love that movie. I watch it semi-regularly. And it's probably my favorite Adam Sandler movie. And it reminds me of when Robbie, who's Adam Sandler's character in The Wedding Singer, he's singing. I don't think I can say the name of the song on YouTube, but he's singing that song that he wrote to Julia, who is Drew Barrymore's character. And I feel like Happier is like the refined version of that song. And, you know, Robbie's just so sweet. And I think that before he fully falls in love with Julia and again learns his worth, much like Elle does, I think that this would be a song he would sing. Next up, we have Jealousy, Jealousy is Mean Girls. I think that this pairing is unique because I think any of the characters in this movie could have been singing it. I think that Janice could be singing it to the Plastics. Karen and Gretchen could be singing it thinking about Regina. Katie could be singing it because she's overwhelmed in this new environment where, you know, she grew up isolated from all of these things. And like when Mean Girls came out, obviously social media was not what it is now, but you know, Katie wasn't even familiar with the basics of girl code. And so I think any of these characters could sing this song. I think it, again, pairs really nicely, which is the catchphrase for this video. I have favorite crime as Gone Girl. I think this one is really obvious. Amy's character is played by the always wonderful Rosamund Pike. It's Gone Girl is so twisted and complex, and there's this twisted relationship between she and Nick, who's played by Ben Affleck, and I think it really encompasses their very twisted and toxic love story. And last but not least, we have Hope You're Okay as The Breakfast Club. And I just want to be clear, and I say this in the blog as well, I'm not making light of a serious song, because this is a song she is seriously singing to people she knew or knew of in high school, who she may or not be in contact with. And I don't want anyone to mistake what I'm saying as me making light of some of the topics, because this song is very heavy. I just paired it with The Breakfast Club because in The Breakfast Club, you have this group of people from each clique who don't have anything in common except for the fact that you don't ever know what someone is going through. Appearances don't mean anything. And The Breakfast Club, even if we only spent that one Saturday with these people, they may still cross our mind from time to time. There are people I went to high school with, there are people from my past that still cross my mind, and I wish them the best, and I may not know where they are, and I may have lost touch with them, but, you know, you still wish them, you still, you know, hope that they're in a better place than they were, or you hope that they're doing well, and you're still rooting for them from afar, even though, you know, you may not follow each other on social media anymore, or you may, but, like, you know, you just occasionally like each other's posts. And so that's my intention here. I'm not making light. I would never make light of a song that has some of the topics in it, like, considering things from my background, I would not make light of that. But that I just paired those two because I thought that they paired well together. And it's just, again, The Breakfast Club. These people may never talk to each other, but guaranteed from time to time, they'll just cross each other's minds and they'll hope that they're doing well. So, with our deep dive done, let's go into our new segment, Special Features. So like I said earlier, these are topics that we haven't written about yet, or we may not even write about them, but I just want to talk about them. And this is also a good way too, I feel, for me to workshop, you know? So, like I said, my friend Sam and I were talking about our comfort shows and our shared love, question mark. I don't know if you can really call it love of Riverdale, folie à deux when it comes to Riverdale. And we were just talking about escapism. And we were talking about shows like Ugly Betty, Desperate Housewives, Psych, Gilmore Girls, and I know that Riverdale clearly devolves, right? And it gets more into like the fantastical, mystical, whatever you want to call it, insanity side of escapism. But shows, like I said, Psych, Gilmore Girls, Riverdale, Desperate Housewives, House, Ugly Betty, we see our reality and it's almost heightened in a way. I mean, again, in the case of Riverdale, it's a whole other can of worms. But shows like this serve as the perfect escapism. And as a kid, I turned to movies a lot because I was sick a lot as a kid. And I also had mental health issues that, like, now as an adult, I know I was like, oh, I had anxiety. Oh, I had depression. Oh, I had this. Oh, I had that. And, or, I was like stressed about, home life stuff. I would turn to movies and I would turn to TV shows. And shows like the ones that I mentioned provide us with a way to connect to reality. Again, Riverdale isn't the best example, but it's just another example of fantasy, which is an offshoot of, it's just another realm of escapism. But it's more idealistic and whimsical. It's not so unrelatable that we're disconnected from the plot or the characters, but it's unbelievable enough that we can turn to it to comfort when we need it and not have to worry about facing the exact same issues we are in our lives. And I think this entire genre, is fascinating because there are so many layers. There are shows that create fandoms, which helps us to connect to real people on that level. Like Sam and I, again, both watch Riverdale. These shows take us away from our own reality or our own problems, even if it's only for 30 to 45 minutes at a time. Or if you're me, I will binge watch like nobody's business. But content has this way of helping us cope with things that are out of our control, or just allowing us to set aside our problems for a healthy amount of time before facing them. And with this, I will say, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the dangers of this, because I know that there are times where people can't disassociate from these fictional characters or even the real actors behind them in reality. And I totally understand that. However, I'm just talking about situations where we run away to Wisteria Lane or Stars Hollow to unwind after a long day. And I just think this whole thing is fascinating that we can identify with. I'm just going to keep using Gilmore Girls because it's something I rewatch annually, and it's just a popular and easy example. But like, for example, with Gilmore Girls, we have such passionate conversations about which one of Rory's boyfriends was the best. We talk about, is Rory the worst? We talk about, identifying as, I'm such a Lorelai, I'm such a Rory, I'm such a Luke, I'm such a Jess. And we've just created like this entire, a lot of these shows just have created this, like, they've created a reality that's even away from the show, you know what I mean? And so I just think this whole concept is fascinating, and I'm been trying to figure out how to put it into a piece, and it's just something I want to talk about because Sam and I were talking about it. And again, shout out to Sam, and like, please know Sam said that I could use her name and say that we talked about this. But yeah, I just think it's fascinating. It's just something to think about the next time you pop on your favorite comfort show is, why do I love this? What characters can I relate to, but it's still whimsical, like Psych, where they solve a mystery every week and Sean even makes jokes about it. So yeah, this has been the first edition of special features. I already have one lined up for next week by anything, so I apologize. But yeah, just think about that the next time you watch your comfort shows. Just think about why you enjoy it, why you're choosing to turn it on after a long day, how it serves as a way of escapism and a coping mechanism. And yeah, so this has been the first edition of special features. Like I said, I already have another one planned for next week. And I just think this is going to be a fun little addition. And it also helps us to cover things faster. Because, like, I all of the pieces I write and Elliot edits. So, like, it is a 2-in-1 operation. So this way, we can even talk about stuff that we may write about in the future, but we can go ahead and start talking about it now. So, yeah, just to recap, follow us over on Instagram at bmovies channel. Post the blogs Monday through Friday and the links. Also, the link is always in our bio to just bmovies.blog. It's also always in the description box below, along with our Instagram handle. my Instagram handle, which is at Lisa_Frankenstein, Elliot's Instagram handle, which is at reading.with.red. Be sure to subscribe to Alex Bale's channel, like his content, so on and so forth. He's a wonderful creator. Again, since I haven't said it in a while, YouTube is the future of horror. So be sure to like and subscribe to his channel. He's wonderful. I will link the pieces that we talked about below. So the Lights Camera albums for Olivia Rodrigo's Sour. I will also link our video on Don't Feed the Muse 3, as well as Alex's What's Next video. And yeah, I think that is all for today's video. And that means all that's left to do is fade to black.